Hi, Brian. So great to see you. And thanks for making time to talk with me today. And when we start off, just let me know a little bit more about you and what type of work you specialize in and what we can get to know about you.
Yeah, so I'm Brian Stallcop. I am the founder of Sherpa Wealth Strategies here in Bend. We're a financial planning and investment advisory firm. We kind of specialize in individual financial planning and then also exit planning for business owners.
Mhm.
So I'm both a certified financial planner and a certified exit planning advisor.
Wonderful. What has led you into any sort of family planning or focus on family planning or family law specifically as it relates to financial planning and business valuation and exit strategy?
Yeah, I think knock on wood, we haven't had a lot of clients get divorced, but when they do, and there's a division of assets, and if they are small business owners, that could possibly be the largest marital asset is the small business.
So, how often do you see married couples owning small businesses in your practice? I know it happens a lot, but in your practice and that intersection of marital assets with small businesses, I think that's a really interesting topic.
Yeah, we like to work with entrepreneurs, so we see it quite often. And there's kind of a mix. So sometimes it's a business that's primarily driven by one partner. So one partner is a physician or an accountant or an attorney, or I own my financial planning practice and I'm the primary driver and energy behind that. And then sometimes we have couples where they are full partners in the business. They're both active in the business. They both play a role in the business. And so, they're kind of two different animals.
Yeah. And so, in hindsight, what would you advise couples that have joint marital assets and a business? What would you advise them, whether they're starting to plan this journey or they're looking at a potential divorce? Like, how would you help them navigate? What are some key takeaways?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, any business owner should make it a practice to value their business at least annually
Mhm.
because it's potentially their biggest asset. And like I get my business valued every year. And what's most important about that is that it benchmarks me against other similar businesses and it gives me the areas that add to the value of my business and
Mhm.
also some things that might detract from the value of my business. So I use it as a management tool to
Mm.
help improve the profitability and value of my business. Now, for folks who are getting a divorce and they're trying to figure out how to split up the marital assets, one of the biggest questions is, what's it worth?
Mhm.
And we often see, the person who is going to retain the business, if that's in fact the case, is really trying to minimize the value because they
Mhm.
don't want to give up as much. The person who might be stepping away from the business is going to want to maximize its value on paper so they get a bigger settlement. One of the concerns is you don't really want to kill the goose that laid the golden egg. If we're going to count on that business to continue to provide income for either the retaining spouse or maybe child support or spousal support for the other person, if there's a too onerous of a burden on the remaining business owner, they're not able to continue to fulfill their financial obligations. So it's kind of a dance.
So really, I hear continue to evaluate your business along the way. And if someone hasn't done that, or have you had cases or instances where you have a divorcing couple, they're coming to you and they have joint ownership in that business, can you do that ancillary to the process or ad hoc?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I actually outsource that piece.
Okay.
So there's a real expertise in valuing a business. There's so many different methods, and there are people who specialize in that. So, my job is to help guide people through the process, and then I'll point them to an appropriate resource to get the business valued. Sometimes it's very simple And, a simple valuation could be $1,500.
Mhm.
I'd say the average business valuation runs between 5 and 15,000. So kind of the bigger and more complex the business,
Sure.
the more it costs to get a valuation. And you have to find the right person who specializes in your type of business. For example, I work with somebody whose niche is valuing auto dealerships.
Mhm.
So she is the go-to person in the country for that,
Mhm.
but I might not ask her to value a dental practice.
Definitely. And so how does your practice tie into that? So once you do the initial intake and consult and look at kind of all of the parts, right, of the financial portfolio, and then you send it out for valuation, and then you fold it back in.
Yeah, so somebody is going to want to, usually there's somebody, probably both parties are going to want to know, am I going to be okay
Yeah.
when this is all over? So am I going to be okay with the remaining business operation? Am I going to be okay with the proceeds from the business or the cash out from the business? And so, the business valuation is just, it's an important piece in an overall financial plan. And it's somewhat, two people who are W-2 employees don't have to worry about that.
Right.
But if you own a business, you want to make sure that you understand what it's worth. And honestly, if both people are working in the business and they're not going to continue to work in the business, is there an impact on the value of the business from that?
100%. And this all, of course, impacts the ability to obtain financing, right? Either to refinance a home or to purchase a new one, right? Because this is all self-employment income, right? And the numbers need to line up and be qualified for income.
Yeah, and those are two different things, really.
Yeah.
So yes, if you're refinancing a home, now we're talking about, recurring and repeatable cash flows.
Sure.
If you're dividing assets, now we're looking at what's the value of
Valuation.
the business.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And do you see often where people are trying to make a decision between the home and the business?
Yes, I mean, it's pretty easy to get a comparable valuation on a home.
Mhm.
And so, any realtor in town will pull up their computer and provide you comps within, 15
Right.
minutes.
Right.
It's a lot harder on a business.
Mhm.
And so there could be, because they're all so unique.
Mhm.
Um, there's really three different ways you can value a business. One is sort of an asset valuation.
Sure.
So if you have businesses that are asset heavy, like manufacturing or real estate, where the actual value of the asset is where, I guess, where the value is, that's an asset-based valuation. Not that hard to do. You can look at an income approach. So it's like, what's the present value of future cash flows?
Sure.
That's a whole different approach. And then there's a market approach, which is what have comparable businesses sold for. That's kind of like what a realtor does. And you can do that with some businesses. For example, if somebody owns a fast food franchises, you can compare one McDonald's to another, one Subway to another, or there's a kind of a built-in recurring revenue model. You can compare one dental practice to another.
Mhm.
But once you start getting into specialty businesses where it's really hard to compare apples to apples, then that market-based approach doesn't work. Now we're probably looking at either assets or income approach. So that's why you have to work with an expert who really understands what type of valuation you need and what's appropriate for your situation.
And how long do these take?
Um,
It's on the business, I'm sure, and the
yeah,
books.
so it like anything else, it's just like a financial plan. It's like if I have all the data, I can turn it around pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Once we get all the data, we can usually turn a business valuation around in a week or two.
Mhm.
But it's really gathering all those financials, understanding the business, understanding the risks. That usually, when I work with business valuation experts, there's usually about a 2-hour interview with the client. So we're just trying to understand the business. And then we want to gather all the financials. And so some people are really great and have those right at hand and they can pull it right up. And other people, let's say, are less organized about the way they run their
Right.
business.
Right.
And so that's really hard. And frankly, those businesses are less valuable because it's just
Right.
hard to
We
document.
call those back of the napkin.
Yeah, I mean, they have a shoe, they're running out of a shoe box or their
Yeah.
checkbook or.
Do you have any stories that come to mind where you've had divorcing spouses that have owned businesses, and any anecdotal stories that you may want to share that come to mind?
Um, Not so much. Again, like I said, I don't have a lot of people divorce. I mean, it's more likely that business partners would split up and
Yeah,
are trying to figure out how to, value the business and make sure that everybody's taken care of
yeah.
appropriately.
Is there anything else that you want to share?
Um, I think the biggest thing is we really like to help people
Mhm,
achieve their goals.
mhm,
Whether they're married, divorced, in business, out of business.
sure.
This is what we get excited about is helping people over time achieve their goals. We've been doing it for 22 years.
Mhm,
So we've seen little kids, grow up and go to graduate school. We've seen people
yeah.
get retired, we've seen how people relocate. So, that's what's exciting for us.
Amazing. Well, how can people find more about you and your practice?
Yeah,
Where
so
can
you
they
can go
find
to
you?
our website, which is www.sherpawealthstrategies.com. So Sherpa
Mhm,
like the mountain climber.
yeah.
And that's probably the easiest place to learn about us. And, or pick up the phone and give us a call, 541-633-7728.
And you work with clients in Central Oregon predominantly, correct? Or all over?
Well, we have clients in 24 states.
Mhm,
So, but yeah, that's about 75% of our client assets are based in Oregon,
mhm.
and about 25% are out of state.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for taking time today.